The process involves a minimum of 180 days of pre-entry prep. That was pretty tragic. Oh, it's awful. Actually, very, very concerned about. I think of myself as a Delilah person. Minimal grass areas for her to potty. Fell in the water. I'm not really a dog person. Welcome back to Sailing Telaroo. Today we have a story to tell about the unique experience that comes with having a four-legged travel companion like our Delilah and what it's really like to sail around the world with a pet. Full-time as live-aboard sailors. We've just sailed to Italy.
Another country, another flag, y'all.
As y'all probably saw in our very last two videos last week, and while this was mine and Sean's 10th country of the year, this was Delilah Girl's 9th country. What do you think about Italy? The only country she didn't visit with us was Monaco. Delilah has literally been to more countries than some people may go to in an entire lifetime. So for a moment, imagine with me embarking on a journey around the world. It's a dream that many share, but what happens to your four-legged friend? What happens to your dog? Does he or she stay with a family member or a friend as you spend literally years away traveling? For us, the answer was immediate. Delilah would go with us, period, the end, and we would just make it work. This video explores the full story, the fun, the challenges, and the intricacies of traveling the world with a dog. Today, we're gonna share it all with y'all. Everything a dog owner would want to know about traveling full-time with a pet. You may still find it interesting though if you don't have a dog of your own, because there's actually so much more involved than anyone may think. For me, making the choice to bring Delilah with us was not even a choice. It was non-negotiable. I couldn't have imagined leaving her and moving on with our life for the next 5 years of globetrotting and experiencing things as if she didn't exist. So that was that. She was going to be a part of this adventure before it ever started. Traveling with a dog, however, is not without its challenges. From paperwork hurdles, vet trips, you know, the things that you would think you'd have to go through, to very much more intricate things like finding dog food. Specifically for a pup like Delilah that has allergies to certain things, having a delegated potty area on board, how many times a day we're gonna need to go ashore when we're anchored out somewhere to let her play and do her business. In some places, even finding a grassy spot for her to even do her business. What about those times that Sean and I are away from the boat for a long period of time, such as an all-day long excursion? What about Delilah then? How does she do on board during a storm or during rough seas? We don't love that. What about the countries with ultra strict rules regarding dogs? Do certain countries really euthanize dogs that enter without doing the right paperwork or the right tests? Does Delilah have to stay on board in certain countries? And what about the countries that don't even allow dogs into the country at all? That's literally a thing. Some countries literally don't let you bring your pet there. And did you know that in Europe you can get a pet passport too for your dog? So this is just the beginning of what we're gonna be sharing today. Now y'all, traveling with a dog on a boat is a huge difference than traveling on an airline. Airlines have their own rules, their own regulations, and we're specifically discussing traveling with a pet to new countries on a boat in this video, not an airplane. First and foremost, this is Delilah. She's 5 years old and she came from an animal shelter in Alabama. I got her when she was 4 months old, y'all. Oh, she was such a sweet little baby. We immediately bonded. I was actually fostering her. I was supposed to be taking her to pet adoption events on the weekends, but by the time the first weekend adoption event rolled around, I did take her there, and I actually got super emotional, very, very emotional. I literally started crying, thinking of not bringing her home with me, thinking of her in the care of somebody else, and that's when she was officially adopted by me. So we bonded quickly. We've been attached to one another since that very first week that I was fostering her prior to ever adopting her. So that's the story of little Delilah girl. Prior to Telaroo even being a thought, Delilah's life was so completely different than now. She enjoyed flying in Sean's airplanes, daily morning walks of at least 2 miles, evening 1 milers at least. She loved spreading out, cooling off in the Florida heat on a nice tile floor. She loved car rides. Heck, she even loved going to the groomer. But she's traded that life for haircuts and baths on board Telaroo. She traded out the car rides for dinghy rides. She traded out flying in Sean's airplane for sailing around the world, crossing oceans, crossing seas, which she has literally done, which is insane. So Delilah's world completely changed from routine to the life of adventure and full-time travel. When Sean and I picked up our boat, Telaroo, in Curacao from the previous owners, Malin and Ewan of Ron, sailing, Delilah was staying with my brother and sister-in-law until we got home with the boat. So when we actually brought Delilah on board Telaroo for the very first time, she definitely made herself completely at home, but it actually did take a couple days for us to convince her to come down the companionway steps by herself. But after a couple days of convincing that she could do it and really egging her on, she was completely fine and she was running this place in no time. So we've been living full-time aboard Telaroo since August of 2022, and we started circumnavigating the globe on March 1st of 2023 this year. And Delilah has always had her vet appointments, all her vaccines, everything she needs right on time since the moment she was in my care. So of course, prior to leaving Coconut Grove, Florida to start our whole circumnavigation, we did take Delilah to the vet. We did go ahead and just get a full workup of everything. Blood test, titer test, the whole 9 yards. So we could have the most recent paperwork for her as we started the journey, which was a really good idea for us. Plus we needed some of that to be able to go into our first country outside of the US, which was Mexico. And speaking of Mexico, I'm going to now insert a clip of what the process was like for us entering Mexico with Delilah on board. There are 2 documents that you need, and then they will also do a physical inspection of your pet. Now, those 2 documents are the rabies certificate and then also a health certificate that has been issued by your vet within 10 days before entering Mexico. In addition to that, they did come on board. The lady who did all of our galley inspection and all of our food inspections, she also was in charge of examining Delilah girl. And now that you've seen that, here's the process for when we entered the Bahamas with Delilah. Yeah, Bahama time, baby. First and foremost, you're going to need to submit an application to the Bahamas at least 14 days prior to arrival. However, from our personal experience with this, they don't get in any type of hurry. We suggest to go ahead and submit your application even more in advance than the 14 days prior to arriving. You're also going to need to submit a health certificate from the last port of departure and the rabies certificate for your dog or your pet. And then lastly, you're just going to need to submit 3 to 5 photos of your pet. And lastly, here is the process for when entering Bermuda with Delilah on board. You are going to need the health certificate that is issued by a vet 10 days prior to arrival into Bermuda. Next, you're going to need the rabies certification. And one thing that we were not used to is that you also have to have a statement from the veterinarian from the last port of departure that issued the health certificate that says the approved tick treatment has been administered to your pet.
Now, y'all, for this permit here in Bermuda, you've got to go to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources website, and there's an online permit application, and they're going to have you upload all those documents Amber just talked about and answer some questions. You have to upload all those documents into that system, and it's very important you do this prior to your arrival in Bermuda. And once you get all of those things and all those documents uploaded, they will actually issue you a permit to import your pet into Bermuda prior to your arrival. And they will give you that permit by email, and they tell you to keep the email and print out a hard copy and take the hard copy with you to customs. Now, it's very important that you go online and do that, y'all, because if you don't do that and you show up in Bermuda, it doesn't matter what kind of paperwork you got with your pet can be restricted to remain on the vessel and prohibited from entering the lands of Bermuda.
After we left Bermuda and got to Sao Miguel, things drastically changed. Europe has been a completely different story with bringing Delilah in and out of the different countries. They love dogs, and once you have the EU pet passport, then you're good to go for most of the European Union countries. So after Bermuda, Delilah's also been to Sao Miguel in the Azores, mainland Portugal, Morocco, Ibiza, and Palma, which are islands in Spain, France, and now Italy. So that plus the other countries that she went to before Europe, she's been to 9 countries. And when we were in Sao Miguel, we went ahead and got her pet passport. But basically, Europe is very relaxed once you get the pet passport when it comes to bringing your dog with you, at least on a boat. We're not talking about airplanes, on a boat. While so far we've had a really good experience when it comes to taking her to new countries, we are certainly aware that some countries maintain super stringent regulations regarding the entry of pets. Australia and New Zealand, oh my gosh, in particular, they stand out for their rigorous biosecurity measures, and so does the South Pacific as a whole. So to be honest, we're not necessarily looking forward to navigating the complex processes that we're about to have to do once we start planning to go to those areas. For example, in Australia, the process involves a minimum of 180 days of pre-entry prep. The journey to New Zealand follows a very similar path, and it's something that we're gonna have to juggle working on super far in advance. Y'all, we all know a sailor's plans are written in sand. Weather, long passages, boat projects, all sorts of things affect our timelines, so we're prepared for that to be a bit of a challenge for us once we get to that stage. Alright, now before we move on to what happens when Sean and I leave the boat for an entire day of excursions, maybe 12 to 16 hours, let's first go ahead and get the potty discussion out of the way. First and foremost, Delilah girl has been fully potty trained since she was a puppy. But y'all, trying to train her to go potty on a grass turf was not easy. She just wouldn't go. Y'all, I watched so many videos. I read blogs about training an already potty trained dog to learn to go potty on artificial turf, and Delilah just wasn't having it. She would literally hold it, not go potty, and from the research I did, some dogs just don't like the artificial grass. It wasn't her thing, so we tried something new, and it actually stuck immediately. It was a different kind of rug. This rug is her potty area. I'm not sure why she immediately went for it over the artificial grass that she wouldn't go for, but she did. So we call that a win on Telaroo. It worked out great for us because I don't know what in the heck she would have done for our 7+ day long passages where there was no land in sight for a week or longer. I mean, we sailed from Bermuda to Sao Miguel, and that took 19 days, and we didn't actually touch land again until the 20th day when there was actually room for us in the marina. At sea, she has her full routine just like when we're in a marina. She eats breakfast. Moments later, she goes tinkle on her rug. Same thing after dinner. She usually waits a day or two before doing anything more than number 1, but number 1 and number 2 are done on that rug. Then we take the rug up front, spray it down with our saltwater hose that's located in our anchor locker. Right there, a locker. And in that locker, we have a hose, and it pumps out salt water. Luckily, the hose has a few very ultra high powered modes, so it makes her rug super easy to clean, thank goodness. Okay, now on to doggy daycare or pet care. When we're traveling for a full day, sometimes we may leave before the sun is up and get back to Telaroo like after dark. And anytime we do this, we do need to schedule someone to either come take care of Delilah for us for the day, or we find a doggy daycare for her, and both have been actually easy to find. We've had boat neighbors that were more than willing to take care of her for the day for us, and doggy daycares. Marina employees have done it for us.
We're going to see Chichen Itza, and one of the staff members, Jarita, she's so sweet. She's actually going to make sure that Delilah is taken care of while we're gone, give her walks, feed her, and all of that jazz. So they really are going above and beyond.
So this has been surprisingly a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Not all stores around the world, or at least the 10 countries that we've been to, have the best dog food. That's something we've definitely learned. Delilah does the absolute best with her dog food when it has salmon, lamb, or beef. For some reason, she doesn't react the best to chicken, and we can't always find options without chicken. But when we do find really good food options, we stock up. One thing I was actually very concerned about before we cast the lines for this adventure was what it was gonna be like for Delilah during really rough weather or difficult seas. So far, though, Delilah has never thrown up or gotten sick on a single passage, which is amazing to me because I, for one, have thrown up on 95% of our passages. Oh, it's awful. So she's doing better than me. During passages in general, Delilah is absolutely glued to my side. If I'm down here, down below, so is she. If I'm up top, so is she. She sleeps really good during a passage though too. She also always slept good when we were back on land during car rides, when she was on Sean's airplanes. So I don't know if it's kind of the same thing. Maybe something about the movement lulls her to sleep. I don't know, but she does sleep a lot. I do have a few designated towels and blankets that are just for her. I have one she can lay on to be comfortable, and I usually put one on top of her, and she goes right to sleep. And she has her own little spot down below here too. That's all hers, and we keep a bed for her there, which is under the table, which is where the camera is right now. And honestly, it's the perfect spot for her. She's just got her own little nest there. It seems like it's just all cozy and perfect for her. She's also a bit of a lazy girl, so she spends a lot of time on her bed under the table. But she does love the sun too. And if she's not lounging on her bed down here under the table, she's sunbathing up on deck. She does that quite a bit. Now, when we're in a marina, she gets as many walks as she needs during the day because it's just super convenient to hop off the boat, take her for a walk. But when we're on the anchor, it's a little bit of a different process. She actually does get to do one of her favorite things in the world, which is ride in the dinghy. Oh my gosh, Delilah freaking lives for dinghy rides. We take her in the dinghy when we're on the anchor once in the morning and once in the evening for a walk after breakfast and dinner. And during the day, if she needs to go again, she can just use her rug and go potty on that, and then we can get it all cleaned up. One interesting thing is that a handful of places we've been have had minimal grass areas for her to potty, like Menton, France. We had to walk a decent little distance to find grass for her to do her business. For some reason, she's just not the type of girl that's gonna pop a squat and go potty on the sidewalk. Having to walk far for a grassy area is pretty rare, but we have had to do it in a couple places. And Delilah can swim. We learned when she fell in the water. That was pretty tragic. In the marina before we ever left Coconut Grove, Florida, Sean actually had to jump in the water and get her, but she did instantly swim, and that was her first ever experience that she's ever had trying to swim. And while she can swim, she's not really into swimming, but she does love the beach. I've never ever seen her happier than when she's either in the dinghy or when she's running on the beach and has sand between her toes. I mean, she could literally run and play on a beach for hours and hours and hours. And I think that she would live on a beach if she could. Back in land life, she used to get regular baths in the spare bathtub when we lived in Florida. But in addition, she would go to the groomer about every 6-8 weeks or so and get a little trim. But now she gets a bath on deck aboard Telaroo or on a marina dock. She no longer goes to the groomer for her haircuts because I purchased a kit and I give her all of her haircuts myself on board. It's just a lot easier than finding a groomer in all the different areas when she needs a haircut. boat to get Delilah on and off the boat. That's something too that people may not think about, but that is just one more layer of something to think about. How is she going to get on and off? Can she always jump off? No, she can't always jump off. So we simply put this harness on her. Sean will usually lift Delilah off the deck and to me onto the dock. Then he usually lifts her from the dock up to me to get her back onto the boat. She stays around 38 to 41-ish pounds, so it's not that difficult. And y'all, she is the same happy, sweet girl now as she was before we ever left land life. She's super alert as to what we're doing. She follows me around. She's always attached to me when we're exiting and entering marinas, anchorages, the whole nine. She greets dock workers. They usually greet her back. They usually start petting her like crazy. She eats it up.
They were like helping us dock over here. Delilah got close enough to lick one in the face, one of the dock boys, and she literally did lick him in the face. But
she also loves when her daddy Sean gives her all the love. He spoils her with table food every single day. So while there have been challenges, and it has definitely added an extra layer or extra layers to the whole liveaboard and the whole travel the world lifestyle, overall it's not been too terribly difficult. I think we will have some work when we head over to some of the more strict areas. That's something that we're prepared to do when that's needed. And I don't have any kids, and for me, Delilah is my child. And to be completely transparent, I'm not really a dog person. But there's sometimes a dog here and there that I think is just precious. But overall, it takes a very, very, very special dog for me to actually like it. So I don't think of myself as a dog person. I think of myself as a Delilah person. And I totally get it when people are super attached to their pet, as if they are their children, because to me, Delilah is my child. So that is where we're gonna end out today's video. Thank y'all so much for watching. We sure hope you enjoyed it. If you have a pet of your own, hit that like button and tell us what kind of pet you have and what their name is, and if you would bring your pet with you traveling around the world. Subscribe for our twice weekly videos, and we'll see y'all next time right back here in a few days on Sailing Telaroo. We're coming to you live right here from Saint-Tropez. We have little Delilah girl. She is a first mate. Hey, you're doing an interview.
I see Delilah. I see the baby. Are you ready to go sail?
I found a little puppy dog. I found a wee puppy dog.
Are you ready to get your health certificate?
All right, Floss, we're gonna go on an adventure. I'm gonna You want me to do it again?
Thank you. Now shake this one. Good girl. Now shake this one. What are you doing? You're cute, Delilah. Oh, that's my girls. Okay, you can go lay down. That way.
Do you see Italy? Look, it's Italy. Are you clean? Did you just get a bath?
You just got a bath. You're still wet.
You are so cute.